What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love Without Borders, Season 1, Episode 5. Let's get started with Dana from Montana and Brian from Ireland. So they're getting ready for dinner, and Dana is in the bathroom getting ready, putting her face on, and she asks Brian if he prefers her with or without her false lashes. So she's got one eye with the false lash, one eye without, and he looks at her and he's like, well, I prefer you without. And she's like, okay, that's fine. So, but she ends up wearing the lashes anyway. But she says in her confessional that she did appreciate his honesty because she did ask for an honest man. So she can't be mad at him because he was honest. And let's go ahead and remember that moment because I think that might be the last time that Brian was honest. So at dinner, Dana orders a steak and she ate every bit of that steak. And Brian says in his confessional that he really did appreciate sitting across from a woman who wasn't afraid to show her healthy appetite and eat and enjoy her meal instead of just nibbling on kale and carrot sticks. So he did appreciate the fact that, she enjoyed her steak. And Dana says in her confessional that girls from Montana always finish their steaks. So then through the course of their conversation, she reveals that she's 38 years old. And when she said that, Brian was visibly surprised. Now, I don't know if she noticed how shocked he was when he found out her age, but he was visibly surprised to know that she was 38 years old. And she talked about how a lot of people don't think that she's as old as she is because she's, fun, outgoing. She likes to hang out and, go out and do a whole bunch of fun stuff. So people are always, surprised by her age. So we're going to put a pin in that whole 38-year-old thing. We're going to put a pin in that, and we're going to move on to when they have to go out to the chickens, to the chicken farm. And so he takes her to the chicken farm so they can feed the chickens and clean out the chicken coop. And Dana does not like chickens at all, and she doesn't like being around chickens. So when it came time to clean out their coop, he asked her to help him, and she, declined. And she was like, no, I think you got this. And he was like, no, come here and help me, because, she said that she wants to live on a farm, and, she's Dana from Montana, and she likes the outdoors, and she wants to live the rest of her life out on a farm and do all this outdoorsy stuff. So Brian was a little bit perplexed, like, okay, I didn't quite understand why she was so afraid to be around the damn chickens, because, she made it seem like she was like a farm girl at heart. So then they have breakfast, and at breakfast, he wants to have a very serious conversation with her. So he tells her that first he starts off the conversation by talking about the expectations that they had with one another. And he tells her that you came all the way from America, you left your whole entire life behind, and, my responsibility is to provide for you, take care of you, and to make this transition as easy and as comfortable as I possibly can for you. And so from there, he moves on to, he tells her that physically, she's not what he would normally be attracted to. And I was like, Brian, my love, where is this coming from? Because when they initially met, they both were very pleased with one another physically. And he gave all indications that he was attracted to her physically. In fact, that very first night, it seemed like if she would have allowed it, that first night would have gone completely differently than what it did, because they just ended up cuddling that first night. But when they got into bed, he was stripped down to his red underwear. He jumped into that bed. He was ready to go. But they ended up just cuddling all night long, so they said. So she was kind of perplexed by that. She was like, well, when we first met, there was a lot of chemistry between us. We really clicked. We got along. It was really good energy between us. And he says to her, well, what I thought was an attraction was just a mix of emotions and adrenaline, running through my veins. But after the dust had settled and I was able to kind of like recollect my thoughts and really think things through, I realized that what I initially felt for you on that first encounter was not like a physical attraction. And I'm just like completely blindsided by this, because everything about him said that this was the woman for him. Everything about him said that he was extremely pleased with this match. And I was really proud of Dana that she took all of this in cool, calm, and collectedly. She wasn't emotional. She didn't overreact. She didn't seem, like offended or anything. So she was just like, if anything, Dana was confused as hell. So as the conversation is continuing, Brian says that, no, Dana says, well, if you're not attracted to me, then how come the other day we were making out and it got so hot and heavy between us that I had to like literally fight you off of me? So where did that come from if you're not attracted to me? And he kind of had this look on his face like a deer caught in headlights. And that's where the show ended. And so I don't know what his response was, but it looked like, he wasn't really expecting her to come back with that, Dana is here playing chess with you, Brian. I don't know who you think she is. I don't know if you think that she's some airhead because she's pretty or attractive or whatever, but she's up here, challenging you on a mental level because she brought out all of her evidence. Okay. She was like, okay, in the beginning, there was this attraction between us. We couldn't keep our hands off one another. The other day, I had to fight you off of me. So where's all this coming from? And he had nothing to say. Well, up until that point, he had nothing to say. And I think the difference now is that he knows that she's 38 years old. And for some reason or another, that's like a turnoff for him. Now, he did say in his confessional that because of the fact that she's 38 years old, the family planning might need to start happening a little bit sooner than later if they are to continue with this journey. He says she's 38 years old, which means that in 2 or 3 years, she's going to be 40, 41. And where does that put us with, having children? And I guess that's what his issue is. I'm assuming that's why he's not feeling this attraction towards her. At first, I thought he was going to say, I'm not that attracted because I'm not used to a woman who is so done up, with the lashes and the makeup and all of that. That's what I thought he was going to say. And when they were having that conversation, I think they had just gotten up in the morning. They were making breakfast together. So her face was completely natural. She had not a stitch of makeup on. So he couldn't use that because she was sitting there before him with no makeup on. And she has no problem. I'm assuming she has no problem not wearing makeup. But he comes up with, I don't feel this attraction for you. And I'm just like, Brian, are you really going to say this to this woman? Say something like that, knowing that you're lying because you realize that she was a little bit older than what you thought? And if age was that big of a deal to you, if age was a deal breaker for you, Brian, why didn't you specify that to the expert? That she has to be, the age range has to be between this and that. I refuse to be with anybody over 35 or something like that. What's going on, Brian? Is it because you see her now like she's Grandma Moses, 1 foot in the grave? She's on her walker and, she's living out her last few days on earth. Like, what's going on? Why the sudden 180? Why the sudden turn when clearly, obviously, you were smitten by this woman? Moving on to Aaron and Mael. So Aaron and Mael, y'all, they're on the struggle bus because Aaron is not feeling any type of attraction towards Mael. And it seems like to me, Mael does have an attraction towards Aaron. Mael is basically waiting for Aaron to give him the green light, and Mael's going to pounce on him. So Aaron has a chance to speak with the expert Erica alone. I guess Mael was at work, so he's having a FaceTime conversation with Erica, and Erica asks him if they have been physical yet, and Aaron says no. Aaron says that he prefers to explore the emotional side of their relationship instead of the physical side. And when he said that, to me, it was just a bunch of mumbo jumbo about I'm just not attracted to him. I'm not attracted to him. Stop with this flowery, poetic language of I want to explore the emotion. You're just not feeling him. He ain't your type. You're not physically attracted to him. That's all. That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong to say that. There's nothing wrong with saying that because there's somebody out there for everybody. And what you deem to be not attractive, someone else would kill for a guy like Mael. So don't be ashamed about how you feel. How you feel is how you feel. Just be honest about it, please. So Aaron says that he's holding back on the affection until his feelings catch up. So Erica says to him, her piece of advice was, don't be so close-minded when it comes to physical interaction. Um, Explore it. Be open to it because it might lead to that attraction that you're seeking. So because Mael is a masseuse, Erica had suggested that he allows Mael to give him a massage. So when Mael came home later on that day, Aaron had said, I'm sorry that I've been kind of distant physically, but basically he was telling him, I'm ready for that massage. So Mael was super excited about giving Aaron this massage. He was like a kid in a candy store. He was so excited. So they bust out the massage table. Aaron gets on it. Mael starts working his magic with his fingers and his hands, massaging him and all of that. And what I thought was going to lead to, what, instead led to just coffee and cake. After they were done, Mel was like, well, do you want some cake? And I was like, oh, that's what he calls it. Cake. But he really busted out the cake. And they started slicing up the cake and they had coffee. And I was like, what the hell happened? So I guess Aaron must have been giving off signals to Mael that he still wasn't ready. I guess, Mael was expecting him to rise to the occasion and Aaron didn't. And so Mael was like, okay, let's not waste, some good cake that's waiting for us in the pantry. So the massage just led to cake and coffee. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but Aaron is really struggling with this. And I think he's really in his head. I think he is really in his head. He's from, where is he from? South Dakota or something. And this is like, you take a boy from South Dakota and you put him in Paris, France. Yeah, he's probably just a little bit too much in it. So he needs to just relax, chill out, and just let things happen naturally, progress naturally, if that's where they're supposed to go. And if they're not supposed to go there, it's okay. That's okay. But moving on to Naim and Chandra. So Naim and Chandra, they're the ones who are in Panama. They go out to eat, and over dinner, she invites them to her family's Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is coming up in a few days. And so she invites him to Thanksgiving dinner. He's really happy about that because it's a big step for someone to want to introduce you to their family. So he's super excited about that. He happily accepts the invitation. So he was in a really good mood, right? I guess the music was playing, and I hope that it wasn't just playing in his head because I didn't hear the music, but the music was playing. And so he gets up and he wants to dance. And she tells him no, she didn't feel like dancing, but he kept on, he kept on, he kept on. He was even like doing a little dance next to her. He really wanted her to get up and dance. And she didn't feel like dancing because nobody else was dancing. So she felt really uncomfortable, dancing in this restaurant when nobody else is dancing. So she kept on telling him no. And then she got upset and she goes, don't test me, because he kept on asking her to dance. So then he sits back down and he tells her that if he was in a Jamaican dance hall, he would have been pushing up all up on her. He would have been pushing up on her. And she was like, no, you wouldn't, because I wouldn't allow that. And he was like, yes, I would. And she goes, no, you wouldn't, because I would tell you no. And then he says to her, well, what if I kept on pushing up on you? And she goes, well, you better not. You need to respect my space. All of a sudden, she got dead serious with this man. And it was no more funny games. It was no more casual conversation. It was no more we're having a good time. She got dead serious. I mean, it was like she was almost threatening him, like, try me. Just try me. I'm going to let you just try me one time and you'll see what happens. That was like the atmosphere that she was creating at this dinner. So she goes, you need to respect my space. And she got real serious real quick. So moving on from there. So, they show us like a montage of scenes of various things happening. For example, they show us one scene where the water had cut off in their home. So they had to go to another location to use the bathroom, use water. So he had to use the bathroom really, 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 really bad. So instead of, he couldn't wait. So he peed in front of the house. He was trying to be real discreet about it, but he was peeing in front of the house, and she gets a text from her neighbor asking her, why is this man peeing in front of my house? So then there's like other scenes of him being very jovial, silly. That's the kind of guy that he is. His personality is very jokey, always joking around, always trying to lighten the mood. And she doesn't like it. It's getting on her nerves because she wants him to be serious more than he is silly and jokey. So she tells him that it's kind of getting on her nerves how he is. She's like, you're always so silly. It's kind of immature. You're always, making jokes and playing around. And he goes, well, that's just part of my personality. So then later on, she tells him, you know what? I think it's going to be better for me to go to my family's Thanksgiving by myself. I think it's too soon right now for you to join me. And he was completely blindsided by that. He was speechless. He couldn't even respond. And so then he was like, okay. And so then she says, okay, let's go back home. He's like, no, I don't want to go home right now. I need a few minutes, because he was completely blindsided. He had nothing to say because he was not expecting her to revoke her invitation to the family Thanksgiving. So now we are at the Thanksgiving. She comes over to her family's house. We meet her mom, her sister, her brother, and she brings the pig that they're going to be eating. And the family asks her, so where's Naim? And she goes, well, this is what she said. She said, he decided not to come. So the family was extremely upset. They're like, we went through all of this to welcome him because he cooked a whole lot of food, got the house ready. The sister was like, I took a day off for this. And you know how hard it is for me to take a day off. I took a day off for this, and he won't even show up. And it's so disrespectful, and it's so rude of him to not show up. So I guess when she saw how much heat his family was giving him, she kind of felt bad. So then she kind of retracted and said, well, I took away the invitation. I told him not to come, but then I changed my mind. I changed my mind later, and then I invited him to come again. I re-invited him. And they show the scene where they're in her living room and she re-invites him. She was like, you know what? I thought about it, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's okay for you to come with me to Thanksgiving. But then he said, no, you can keep it. Keep your Thanksgiving invitation. I don't need it. So that's what she meant when she told her family he decided not to come. But then she gave the full story that at first she revoked her invitation. So her family got mad at her, and her family was like, well, this is your fault. You were too quick to react. You took it away. You took away the invitation, then you invited him again. So this is all your fault that he's not here. Well, where is Naim? Naim is out and about. He goes to a bar, like this open outside bar, and he runs into another American, like this older man. And they start having a conversation, and, Naim tells them what he's doing in Panama. He was like, yeah, I came to Panama looking for love. And the old man said, well, did you find it? He was like, nah, man, I'm still looking. And so there's like beautiful women all over the place. And so he's like admiring all the attractive women. And he was like, one thing about Panama, they've got some really beautiful women down here. And the old man was like, yeah, there's some really attractive women in Panama. So Naim was like looking around, just enjoying all the scenery, and he's having a grand old time without Chandra. Chandra, you did it to yourself, girl. How are you going to invite someone to Thanksgiving and then disinvite them? Like, who the hell does that? What's wrong with you? Just because he's silly and jokey and likes to play around? Girl, please. That's, girl, There's, so, y'all, look. There is something, some of the people on these shows, these dating shows, these relationship shows, I look at these people and I'm like, I can see why you're single. I can see why you're so single. I'm not saying that having a relationship or being in a relationship or being married is the end all and be all of life, because it's not. But the people that want to be in relationships and for whatever reason just cannot catch a break, some of them, specifically the people on this show, I'm like, okay, I totally see why you've been struggling in that department, because what she did was so mean and so awful. And for her to get mad because he's a happy person, does that make any sense to anybody? Moving on to Garlene and Sharayas. The more I see Garlene, the more she just annoys the hell out of me. The character that she's playing right now, I don't know who this person, the reason why I say character, because I don't know her in real life. So I don't know if this is how she really is, or this is just something she's putting on for the cameras. I don't know. But this character of Garlene, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So Gerline and Sharayas go out to dinner with two of Sharayas's friends. These are the two friends that Gerline had met at the house party. And one of the friends is VJ, the guy with that gray beard and the mustache and all of that. And VJ is a lot. VJ is a character all within himself. So they're having dinner, and the female friend asks, so how are things going with your new apartment? And they happen to mention that they had two separate bedrooms. So the friends pounce on that, especially VJ. So VJ is like, the way I know Sharayas, as soon as he meets a woman, he's in bed with her. So how did you convince him to have two separate bedrooms? Like, what's going on? Are y'all not attracted to one another? There's no chemistry between y'all. There's no sexual attraction between the two of you. Why do y'all have two bedrooms? The friends kept on asking and interrogating and digging deeper and deeper into their personal business. And it got to the point where Sharayas and Gerline were like, what the hell is going on? We're just trying to get to know each other. We just met and we just moved in together and we're just trying to build something here. So we're in the very early stages of this relationship. We're not just going to hop into bed together. So VJ, the male friend, he just keeps going and going, asking all of these really personal questions. And so Gerline has to shut him all the way down. So Gerline is telling him, you're being disrespectful. We don't want to talk about that. That's our own business, or whatever the hell she was saying. Basically trying to tell him to back off, relax. And then Sharayas jumps in. So when Gerline and VJ are going back and forth, Sharayas jumps into the conversation and tries to tell his friend just to back off. So then later on that night, they get home and they're having a conversation. So Gerline tells Sharayas that first she complained about VJ. She was like, what is wrong with your friend? What's wrong with him? So, whatever. So Sharayas is like, yeah, he's an idiot. And so then Gerline complains about him. She says, you didn't have to jump into our conversation. I can handle myself. I don't need your help. And so Sharayas was like, hold up. Where the hell is this coming from? I was on your side, toots. I was on your side. I was helping you out. I was supporting you. And so she was like, I don't need your support. I can handle my own. You didn't have to jump into that conversation between me and VJ. I don't need your help. And so he got so upset because, what Gerline likes to do, she likes to end the night early and just go to bed and disappear. So he was like, what? I got one for you. I'm going to bed. So he ends up going to bed first and he leaves her out alone in the living room. And I'm just like, Gerline, this man was supporting you, showing his support for you. His friend was out of line and he was trying to put his friend in check. Actually, Sharayas said to her, the reason why he stepped in, it wasn't because he was trying to protect her or trying to be like, wait a minute, I'm the man, so let me step in and handle this. It wasn't like that at all. He said that the argument between the two of you was escalating. So I needed to step in to de-escalate the situation because VJ was just getting, louder and louder. And that's, she got upset about that. He was just trying to calm everything down, because he saw that they were kind of getting heated. And so for Gerline to react this, which instead of being appreciative of the fact that he was supporting her, this is his friend that he's known way longer than he's known her. But he's stepping in, showing his support for her, defending her, being on her side. And she completely did not appreciate any of that. She just wanted him to sit back and be quiet. In fact, she even said to him, you were acting like you just wanted me to overlook what he was saying. And that's when he said, I was just trying to de-escalate it because, y'all were getting angry and I was just trying to de-escalate the situation. So I wanted you just to kind of like, don't engage with him in this conversation. Don't fuel this conversation because VJ would say something, Gerline would say something. VJ would say something, Gerline would say something. Because Gerline doesn't back down. She's not going to walk away from a fight. And so he was just like, I was just trying to like end it. But yeah. Honey. Gerline. Like I said, some of these people, I can see why they're still single because, she got mad at him and he was showing support for her. I don't understand. Moving on to Phil and Carmen. Ain't nothing going on with Phil and Carmen. So Phil approaches Carmen and he apologizes about the argument that they had about his Instagram, because she had found his Instagram. He didn't want to tell her his Instagram. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I know exactly why. He didn't want her to see the Instagram because he knew that she was going to have a problem with those pictures that he was posting, because he posts a lot of thirst trap pictures. So he knew that if she saw my Instagram, she's going to say something about it. She's not going to like it. That's why he didn't want her to know. It wasn't because I didn't want her to know who my family was. Anyways, moving on. So he approaches her and he tells her, I'm sorry for what I said, because he kept on telling her to shut up, you're not letting me talk, you talk too much. And so he apologized for that, and they were supposed to go skating that day. Oh wait, he apologized to her, she accepted the apology, but they both kind of agreed to disagree. And because she was still like, she still didn't like it, and she wasn't going to act like it was okay. She still didn't like it. And so they both basically agreed to disagree. And so then he says to her, well, since you were lurking on my page, did you at least follow? And she says, no, because I didn't want you to know that I was lurking. The next day they're supposed to go skating, and Carmen is not feeling well. She's sick. And so to make her feel better, he asks her, well, do you want me to rub your feet? And she says, yes. And I was like, girl, you shouldn't have said yes, honey, because he starts rubbing her feet. And she says, I'm so sorry, but my feet are so dirty. And I thought she was just saying that, just to say that. Honey, they zoomed in on the bottom of her feet. The bottom of her feet were like black. Because, they walk around without shoes over there, which is fine. Perfectly okay. But if my feet look like that, I wouldn't want them to be on national TV, so I wouldn't have anybody rub on my feet. Yeah, her feet were pretty damn dirty, but he seemed not to mind, and he just wanted her to feel better. So that was really sweet of him. So that's the end of that. Thank you so much for joining me on this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.